Hi, this is Brass Check, and recording this on Wednesday, February 23rd, and I think we're going to start adding some video commentary so that we don't keep mailing multiple times a day and stick to our one time a day schedule. So some things that I want to point out that I don't see anybody else pointing out. Number one, Margaret Chan. Long-time careful Brass Check listeners know we've talked about Margaret Chan since the very beginning of this thing. Who is she? A Canadian Chinese operative. And what was her job? Well, she originally started in Hong Kong, where she was an incompetent public health official. And then when the British took over Hong Kong, they loved this corrupt person, and they kept her on. And she ended up becoming head of the World Health Organization, and that was some kind of a gesture to the Chinese. I don't know why we needed to do that, but we did. And she was head of the World Health Organization for 10 years, from 2010 to basically 2020, more or less. I think she was gone by the time COVID started, so she might have started a little bit early. I could have the exact numbers a little bit wrong, but it's definitely 10 years. And guess who hired Margaret Chan and Anthony Fauci to be steering committee members of his decade of the vaccine? Bill Gates. Now, where is Margaret Chan now? Well, now she works for the Communist Chinese directly. She's some kind of party official. So this is a little Canadian connection that nobody has talked about. Here's something else nobody has talked about. When you look at the atrocity footage of the police violence against peaceful, legal demonstrators in Ottawa, you'll have trouble finding any substantial violence against healthy young men. Why is that? Well, I guess these cops realize that not so easy going up against a truck driver. So who did they target instead? Well, they appear to have made a focused effort to attack women and people that were along in age. For instance, the woman on the walker who they ran over with a horse. And let's understand something about that. And you can look at the video and attest to this yourself. Those horses had blinders on. They only go where they're told to go, and they don't go anywhere else. So the only way that horse was ridden into that crowd and over that woman is if the guy on the horse directed the horse to do that. That was no accident. So you may ask, why would they target women and older people? Remember the old man? I mean, he's old. He's 78. That's an old man, right? I mean, when I'm 78, you can call me an old man too. I won't take offense. Not quite ready to be called that yet, but give me a decade and a half and I'll accept it. And remember, he was a tiny little guy. They jerked his arm behind his back, threw his face into the side of the police car. Just absolute police brutality, no question about it. And if you've never had your arm wrenched like that, it's violence. It's pure violence. And for a guy that age, it's horrendous violence. So why would they do that? Why would they specifically attack women and older people who can't defend themselves besides their cowardice? They were ordered to. What? You say. That can't be true. I'm going to bet money they were. What kind of psychopath would order police to specifically attack women and older people? Oh, Bill Blair. And if you don't know who Bill Blair is, do your homework. We've been talking about him since 2010. Former chief police of Toronto, now some kind of federal officer. He did the same thing in Toronto during the G7 or the G8 meeting. I forget which number it was. Why would you do that? Why would you attack vulnerable people? Because you want to provoke the demonstrators to violence. It is very hard to watch some thug beat up a woman and not want to beat him up. Now, these demonstrators showed tremendous restraint. They got the injured women. One was shot point blank in the thigh by a tear gas canister. That hurts. Another was sprayed right in the face, gratuitously, no reason. And then we got endless footage of women being assaulted, harassed, threatened, manhandled. They did it because they were ordered to do it, and they were ordered to do it because the calculation was, if we commit these kind of atrocities, we are likely to stimulate a violent response from the demonstrators. And then once they do that, once they throw the first punch, anything goes and we can blame it on them. Well, nobody that I know of, certainly nobody's documented it, responded with violence. But I'm pretty sure that's what happened. These are sick people, you have to understand. Bill Blair is a sick, twisted, corrupt individual, and there is nothing that he wouldn't do to advance his personal agenda. And right now his star is hitched to the wagon of Justin Trudeau and all the criminals supporting him in the Canadian government. And they are criminals, every last one of them. Okay, who did they get to commit this violence? Well, if you'll notice some of the photographs and some of the video, you have these guys in green uniforms, no badges, but they actually do have identifying numbers on their helmets. Not really clear insignia. I mean, black against green, kind of hard to read, but they came from the security forces of Quebec, which I believe are federal, believe it or not. These people are known. The people that run that outfit are known for blatant corruption. Remember, these are the ones that sent agent provocateurs to a labor demonstration posing as demonstrators with rocks in their hand. And when they were caught, and they were, one of the great labor leaders of Quebec caught them red-handed, they scurried behind the police lines, where they were then, quote, arrested. Now these guys, but believe me, if a guy has shiny shoes and a short haircut, you don't have to you don't have to look too hard to figure out where they're coming from. So that's the Quebec security forces, corrupt, anti-democratic. What else is there to say about them? So those guys, and I think those were cadets. I don't know, they were quite well disciplined. I mean, they stood there for a long time. People wanted to know why no one could engage with them. They were probably country boys that don't speak English. And that's one of the tricks here. You get the country boys who've never been to the big city, maybe went to Quebec City once. You train them in violence. You fill their heads full of nonsense. You take them to Anglo-Canada. You put them in a situation where they think something's going on that's not going on. You have all these Anglo guys yelling at them in English. That doesn't help. And you got some thugs on your hands that will pretty much do whatever you want them to do. And they did it. They did it. And then, of course, every police force has thugs on it because the criminals who run governments like it that way because sometimes they need thugs. And that's why there's always a few psychotic criminals on every police force. And any honest police officer will tell you there's one in his precinct. And they wheel them out. The political people, wheel them out when they need heads busted on their behalf for political reasons. Last bit, I am absolutely shocked by the alternative news media. I'm hoping there's going to be some change soon. But Tamara Lich, who consistently advocated legal demonstrations of a nonviolent nature, and there are many attorneys who believe that everything the truckers did was legal, not necessarily, in Ottawa at least, not necessarily pleasant, not necessarily convenient, but not illegal, and certainly there was no violence of any kind. And yet, she was arrested last week. She is still in prison. The corrupt judge has denied her bail, so she will be in prison until the court case. And who knows when that will be? This could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years. And what was her crime? She advocated that her fellow citizens petition the government of Canada to follow the charter. That's her crime. This is a political prisoner. This is as bad as the sleaziest banana republic you can imagine. And we've got, we posted this a couple of days ago. We've got a bunch of truly psychopathic, I use that word a lot because it's apt, commentators with their own little podcasts and YouTube channels cheering. They're happy to see her in prison. They're happy to see her suffer. And then their sock puppet followers, I'm hoping that only some of their followers are real, that most of them are manufactured, are cheering as well. She's a traitor, she's this, she's that. What she is a human rights hero. And this just adds to the utter disgrace of the Canadian government and the Canadian system. That she was arrested in the first place, because in a fair trial, these counts cannot possibly be supported. And B, that she's not allowed bail. They've also, of course, frozen all her finances. So how can she hire an attorney? But equally disturbing is, where is the alternative media supporting her, commenting on how outrageous this is? So far, maybe something happened between the time she was arrested and the moment that I'm recording this. I'm not seeing it. Maybe Fox will come out and say something. You know, she's on the record with hour after hour of video. Be peaceful. Don't be hateful. Don't even be angry. Understand the humanity of the people that are committing these crimes against the Canadian citizenry. I mean, I don't even think Martin Luther King was that nonviolent in his rhetoric. And yet she's in prison without bail, with a judge who made the point of telling her that she's facing 10 years in prison. So if you know any of these alternative media people, you might knock on their door and ask when they're going to cover this story. Especially all the people in Canada that are posing as alternative media people. Because right now, this is the story. Her absolute unjust arrest and indefinite detention. I mean, when you tell somebody they're not going to get bail till trial, that's not technically indefinite detention, but for all practical purposes, it is. This is a mother, this is a grandmother, you know, and this is somebody that committed no violent act and encouraged no one to commit any violent acts. Remember, this is a country where not long ago there was a rash of church burnings, and Justin Trudeau counseled patience and understanding of the people that committed the arsons. It's just mind-boggling. So anyway, these are some bits of analysis that I'm shocked that I have to be the one to bring them to you, that I'm not watching them on YouTube myself, but such is the world that we live in. And I've got to add a postscript to this. Many people shot video, and they uploaded it to Instagram, and they uploaded it to Twitter, and they uploaded it to Facebook, and all that video is being scrubbed from the internet, and it's we're trying to capture as much of it as we can. If you could please convey to people that nothing on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of those sites is in the least bit safe. If you put it up there, you might as well throw it away. Now, to put it there temporarily, maybe, but you got to download it and preserve it somewhere. Otherwise, it will be lost forever. But we saved quite a bit of it.